Hello students, today's agenda is to check homework. We'll be learning about binomial expansions with negatives, and you will be able to do 3.7. Today students will be able to expand binomials with leading coefficients not equal to 1 and negatives. And in 3.6 we learn about Pascal's triangle, where you start with a 1, then for the next row you have 1 1. For the next one we start adding. 1 plus 1 is 2, and add the ones on the left and right. Then we add 1 plus 2 to get 3, and 2 plus 1 to get 3, and add the ones on the sides. Again, 1 plus 3 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, and 3 plus 1 is 4, and add those ones in there. And so on, where we just keep adding to get the one in the middle. We're going to be using it again for this set of binomial expansions. Again, what this means is that you're multiplying this base 3 times. However, with the Pascal triangle, the results came from using this in the process. Okay, and I'll try to go over it a little bit again with the steps, but if you don't get it, you might want to go back to 3.6 to review it. Whenever you see an exponent in here, it's going to tell you which row to use. And it's going to be that number for the second, not the one, but the next number. So it will be this row that we will be using. Okay, so you're going to be multiplying the two terms. So 2x times y, and we're going to write it 4 times. So if there is a 3 in here, you have that multiplication or product 4 times, one more than the exponent. So 2x times y, 2x times y, 2x times y. The other thing that it tells you is that you're going to be using, as I mentioned, if the exponent is 3, wherever there is the 3 for the second number, that's the row that you're going to use, and those are going to be your coefficients. So the first one is a 1, that's going to be the coefficient right here. The next one is a 3 plus 3, and it's always plus, and then plus 3 plus 1. Okay, so that row tells me what the coefficients will be for each product. The next thing that we need to know is we use this exponent on the first term, and we go on descending order for the first term in each product. So 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, we start with that exponent. For the next one, you're going to start with 0 and then go ascending order, go up. 0, 1, 2, 3. And from there, we start simplifying the parts that are able to simplify. For example, in here, y to the 0 is 1. The whole thing is 1. And in here, 2 to the third power is going to be 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So 1 times 8 is 8, times 1 is 8. And now in here, x to the third. For the next one, y to the 1 is just y. But in here, 2 to the second power is 2 times 2, which is 4. And we multiply that 4 times 3, so it's going to be 12. 3 times 4 is 12. For the x, we have x squared. And for y, we just have y. 2 to the first power, and we don't have any coefficients in here, so it's just 2 to the first power is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. X to the first power, we don't need to put the 1, and y squared. In here, this entire thing becomes 1. Anything, any base raised to the 0 power is just 1, and 1 times 1 is 1. We don't need to put it, and then y to the third power is y cubed. And for number 2, we do the same thing. We have an exponent 4, so we're going to write this as a product of a times b, 5 times, one more time than what we have in here. So 2x times 4, 2x times 4, 2x times 4, and 2x times 4. Okay, that's 5 times right there. And we bring in Pascal's triangle. We look for the one that has a 4 for the second number, which is this row right here. Those are going to be our coefficients. And so for the first one is a 1, and it's always going to be a 1. For the next one is plus 4, plus 6, plus 4, and plus 1. Then for the exponents, again, the exponent is 4, so we start with the first, with A, with that exponent. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. For the second one, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we simplify. 4 to the 0 is just 1. 2 to the 4th power is 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. And so 1 times 16 times 1 is 16. We have x to the 4th, and that's all. For the next one, we have 4 to the first power is 4. 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. And so 4 times 8 is 32. 32 times 4 is 8, 12, 128. So 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. For the variables, all we have is x cubed. And that's all for that term. In here, 4 to the second power is 16. 2 to the second power is 4. And then we multiply 4 times 6 is 24. So I'm just going to do the working here. 24 times 16. And of course, you can use your calculator, okay? 6 times 4 is 24, carry 2. 6 times 2 is 12, 14. 1 times 24 is 24. And we add, so you get a 4, 8, and 3. Now let's make sure 4 to the second power is 16 times 2 to the second power is 4 times 6 is 384. We just have x squared. For the next one, we have 4 to the third power. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. Times 2 to the first power is just 2. So that's 128. And 128 times 4 is going to be 4 times 8 is 32. Carry the 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 11. Carry 1. 4 times 1 is 4. And 1 is 5. Just checking. 64 times 2 times 4. 512. And you just have x. For the last one, this whole thing becomes a 1. 1 times 1 is 1. And 4 to the 4th power is 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. And 64 times 4 is, 4 times 4 is 16, carry 1. 4 times 6 is 24, 25. So plus 256. So that's the answer after you do the binomial expansion with a shortcut of using the Pascal triangle. Okay, so something that I want you to notice is that whenever we have a constant in here, we end up with only one variable, and the first one has this exponent, and the first term will have this exponent, then it goes in descending order. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. My gatito wants to be in the movie, so if you hear crying, it's my cat. Okay, for number 3, we have exponent 5. So again, we multiply these 6 times. And let's try to make it tiny so that it fits. 2x times 3y. 2x times 3y. 2x times 3y. And it looks like it's not going to fit, but we'll put it down here. 2x times 3y. Then, where is the 5? It's right there. So we'll use this row for the coefficients. There you go. So a 1 in here, plus 5, plus 10, plus 10, plus 5, plus 1. For the exponents, the exponent is a 5, so we start 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And for the second term in here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you would like to try it, pause the video and try it on your own and see. Okay, 3y to the 0 is a 1. 2 to the 5th power is just 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 32. 2 to the 5th power is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 32. And 1 times 32 times 1 is 32. In here, we already said that the whole thing to the 0 power is a 1, so the y is not there anymore. And we just have x to the 5th power. For the next one is 3 to the 1, so it's 3. 2 to the 4th is 16. And you can also use your calculator, okay? So 2 power 4 equals, okay? That's the 16. And then times 3 and times 5. Times 3 times 5. And you get 240. Okay, so you raise each one to the power and then multiply that. And for x, we have x to the 4th. For the y is just y. Y to the first power is y. 3 to the second power is 9. 2 to the third power is 8. And so 8 times 9 is 72. And 72 times 10 is 720. Again, if you're not sure, just use your calculator. X to the third, y to the second. For the next one, 3 to the third is 27. 2 to the second power is 4. And so we multiply those. 27 times 4, I just think of 25 times 4 is 100. And then you have 2 more, so 2 times 4 is 8. So 108 times 10 is 108 with 1 0 times 10. Again, you can use your calculator. 27 times 4 times 10. And the order when you're multiplying does not matter, okay? X to the second power and y to the third power. And I guess I should have written it down here so that I would have more space, but that's okay. So it's going to continue like this, okay? For the next one is 3 to the 4th is 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81, times 2 is 162, and 162 times 5 equals 810. I'll just write it in here, 810. For the x is just x, y to the 4th. And the last one, this becomes a 1. 3 to the 5th power is, well, we already know that 3 to the 4th is 81, times 1 more 3 is 243, times 1 is 243. And for the x, we don't have anything. X to the 0 is just 1, and y to the 5th power. If you notice, again, for x, which is part of the first term, we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0, it disappeared. And for the y, we have y to the 0, to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So for 1, it goes in descending order. For the second, it goes in ascending order. Again, we have a 5. So we're going to multiply this 6 times. And now we have a negative for the second term. Okay, we need to include that in there. So x times negative y, x times negative y, x times negative y, x times negative y, and x times negative y. For the coefficients, since we have a 5 in there, again, we're going to use this row. So 1, 5. And even if we have a negative in here, it continues to be plus for the coefficients. Plus 10, plus 10, plus 5, and plus 1. For the exponents, it starts with a 5, and then it goes down. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, with practice, it keeps getting easier and easier, and you go a little faster and faster as we practice more. So again, anything to the power of 0 is a 1. 1 times 1 is just 1. We don't need to put it, and it's just x to the 5th power. Okay? For the next one, positive times negative is going to be negative, and it's just 5. We have x to the 4th and y to the 1st power. For the next term, we have negative squared, so negative 1 times negative 1 becomes positive times positive is positive, and just 10. X to the 3rd power, x cubed, and y squared. So the first thing that you want to do is raise that to the 2nd power. And for some people, they get confused. So if you want to put a negative 1 in there, that's fine. So that you know that it's negative 1 squared is negative 1 times negative 1. Positive 1 times 10 is 10. In here, we have negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 becomes negative 1 times 10 is negative 10. And then we just bring down x squared and y cubed. For the next one is negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. Because it's an even number, it becomes positive, and positive 1 times 5 is 5. X and y to the 4th. We just put y to the 4th because we already dealt with the negative raised to the 4th power. And finally, x to the 0 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Negative 1 to the 5th power, it's an odd number. And so it becomes negative times positive, negative. And 1, but we don't put it because it's a coefficient. And so it's just y to the 5th power. Okay, since we have been practicing, let's do it a little faster. 2x times negative 3. 2x times negative 3. How many times? We're going to write it 4 times. If there is a 3 as an exponent, we write it 4 times. And the coefficient, since it's a 3, is going to be 1, 3, 3, 1. Okay? 1, 3, 3, 1. For the exponents, the exponent is a 3, so 3, 2, 1, 0. And for the other one is 0, 1, 2, 3. And we start simplifying. Negative 3 to the 0 power is 1. 2 to the 3rd power is 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. And 1 times 8 times 1 is 8. And we only have x cubed. For the next one, negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. 2 to the 2nd power is 4. So 3 times 4 is 12 times negative 3. well, positive times negative is going to be negative, and 12 times 3 is 36. And we just have x squared. Negative 3 squared is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. Times 3 is 54, and it's positive. And we only have x. Negative 3 to the third power is negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 27. This is just 1, so 1 times negative 27 is negative 27. Okay, one last example. Again, we have exponent 3. It's 4 times 5x times negative 6y. 5x times negative 6y. 5x times negative 6y. 5x times negative 6y. And the coefficients, we're going to be using the same, right? It's 1, 3, 3, 1. Why? Because the 3 is going to be my second number, and that's the row that I need to use. 1, 3, 3, 3. 1, 3, 3, 1. Sorry. So 1, 3, 3, 1. For the exponents, it's a 3, 2, 1, 0, and 0, 1, 2, 3. And then start simplifying. So anything to the power of 0 is 1. 5 to the third power is 5 times 5 is 25. Times 5 is 125. X cubed. In here, this is negative 6 to the first power is going to be negative 6. So positive times negative is going to be negative. And then 5 times 5 is 25. And so 6 times 25 is 150. Times 3 is 450. And again, you can check with your calculator, okay? If you're not sure, it's 3 times 25 times negative 3 times 25 times 6 with this. Oops, 6 with this to make a negative, and then equals negative 450. For the x is going to be x squared, and y to the first power, but we don't need to put it. Okay, now in here is going to be negative 6 squares. It's going to be 36 times 5 times 3. And let's just use our calculator. 36 times 5 times 3 is 540. And it's positive because this is even, that makes the negative positive, okay? For the last one, this is 1, and negative 6 to the third power is going to be negative 6 times negative 6 is 36, times negative 6 is 216. Again, because this is odd, the answer will be negative. And so you can also check in here. 6, let me show you. 6, you press the negative, then the power button, and to the third equals. See, negative 216. And this is because this becomes a 1, and for the y is just y cubed. Oh, what happened to here? I forgot the variable. So it's going to be x and y squared, all squished in there. Our kitty is calling us. So with this, we end our lesson. If you can please give us a thumbs up, subscribe around here. This is the link to the entire unit. Here you will find the next lesson. Now you're able to do 3.7 and have fun. Let's go see our kitty. Why are you singing? Hi. Hi, beautiful. Hi, Spirit. Hi, Spirit. Why are you singing, huh? Why are you singing? My daughter found him and she saved him. We're checking his eyes. Beautiful. Spirit. Spirit. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye.